Hello, builders. Welcome. Welcome to Live at 5 on Friday. It's February 5th, and I am delighted that you're here to join me today. I'm just going to mute this. Okay, now we can get started. Welcome. I'm Lisa Stewart, founder of Build Your Own Money Message and Build Your Own Small Business. I help STEAM entrepreneurs build products from their workbench, connect with their audience, and change the world from their workbench. So, the most important question of the evening is, what's in your glass? Let me know if you can hear me. I would really like to know. I'm using a new microphone tonight. I was testing it out. It seemed to work okay, but please let me know. If you're here in the chat, say hello. I want to know that you're here and where you're from. And so, right now, I am drinking Wild Haven Merlot from Columbia Valley. It's local. It's right here in the state of Washington. Yay! I haven't tried it yet, honestly. Andrew has already tried it, and we're going to find out. So, gives good nose. It got a nice color. It's a little glassy on the tongue, but I'm going to let this open up a little bit. Hey, Andrew. Hey, Sandy. Welcome. Okay. Today, we are going to talk about how to choose brand colors, photography, graphics, and fonts to help build a consistent visual brand for your business. Are you feeling uncertain about how to build your own business brand design guidelines? Building your brand design guidelines is derived after you've crafted a business brand mood board. This is part 2 that continues from the How to Make a Mood Board for Strong Brand Identity that I held last week. That video was designed to help you create a mood board to serve as inspiration for your business that connects with your customers and strengthens your brand identity. Today, I'm going to dig a little deeper to help you structure your design guidelines based on those efforts. We're going to refine your brand colors, fonts, photography, and graphics. Done right, your guidelines will unify your visual elements to help create consistency across your branding board. So, without further ado, let's start the show. Hello, builders. Welcome to Live at 5 streaming show here on Friday. I'm Lisa Stewart, founder of Build Your Own Small Business and Build Your Own Money Message. If you're new here, welcome. If you're joining us again, welcome back. Okay, the most important question of the evening is, what's in your glass? Right now, I am drinking Wild Haven. It is a Merlot from the great state of Washington. I'm going to take another sip. Okay. It's starting to smooth out. It's starting to be really nice. The legs on this, pretty good. There we go. Yeah, I can see a few legs. But yeah, this is pretty tasty. And I think Andrew said this was about $13 of a bottle. So you can probably pick this up at your Total Wine store. So yeah, pretty tasty. Oh, that's good to know, Andrew. It's his second glass and he likes it. All right. From Walla Walla to be exact. Absolutely. Hey, Sandy, welcome. Okay, so for those of you who haven't spoken up, welcome. I am delighted that you're here to hang out with me tonight. And please let me know in the chat where you're from, who you are, where you're from, and what market you're in. I would love to know. Okay, so I'm going to put on a little slideshow for you all. I was going to create little mini movies, but didn't have time to do that. But I'm going to create little slideshows for you. So my face is going to disappear as we go through some talking points on photography, fonts, graphics, and logos. Fonts, logos, graphics, fonts, and photography. Okay, so last week we went over the basics on how to create a mood board to help set your brand atmosphere. This week, our design guidelines will take form as a style tile. As I mentioned last week, a style tile sits between the ethereal inspiration of a mood board and gives just enough information to create collateral without getting lost in the pixel weeds with web development. As we plot the style tile, we'll include the inspirational elements from your recently created mood board so that it establishes solid visual components. These components include font and face styles and sizes, colors with applicable RGB, CMYK, hex codes, along with textures, patterns, and web elements like buttons. This style guide can serve as a glossary for your business visuals. The next step is creating design guidelines for whatever piece of collateral you want to build. If you want to build a website, this style tile should provide enough information for your web designer or developer to craft. Once finished, the style tile can be shared with your assistants, employees, and other necessary shareholders to help build your visual collateral. All right, I'm going to take a sip of wine before I get started. Okay, so if you're new here, welcome, and please say hello in the chat. Tell me where you're from. Yes, Andrew, this is turning out to be quite delightful. I am happy with this. Okay. I'm going to continue. Let's hope I've got this all set up correctly. Okay, let's get on to the pieces and parts that help build your design guidelines in the first place with mood board elements. So let's talk structure. The primary structure of developing a mood board contains colors, fonts, photography, and graphics, all based on your business values. But first, let's talk about lifestyle. Once you've established your ideal audience, you'll immediately understand their lifestyle. Lifestyle is a choice a person makes about how to live, behave, according to their attitudes, tastes, and values. Your product and services will appeal to your target market and align with their lifestyle. Does their income afford them choice and certain luxuries at a premium price? Do they require special assistance when they embark on a routine task? So, values determine your colors. Colors are used to create an atmosphere your customer wants to get lost in and enjoy. When used expertly, color directs the eye, showing your customer where they should go next. Okay. Now, if not used wisely, it can spin them into an uncontrollable rage like this one. Ouch. If you're like me, both furious and flummoxed, you'll probably jump off this image in a New York minute. Imagine if this was somebody's landing page. Yikes. There's so much color going on that it makes it hard to focus. At this point, I just want to hide my dark closet and get my eyes to refocus. How about you? Chances are the person who thought this was a good idea was probably a duck-faced niece posting on social media posing as an expert. Did she convince you that she randomly found inspiration by something she saw on Pinterest? What if I told you there was a better way? Rather than allowing your duck-faced browsing niece to create your brand colorway that is neither random nor annoying, I'm developing a proprietary system, color system, that builds in a deeper level of uniqueness for my clients. As the clients and I work on their brand money message, we review their products and services, and ultimately the outcome their clients want to overcome or achieve help define their values. After generating a list of values, we settle on a handful and then identify 3 to 4 main values that will become their pillars. For example, 3 Guys Construction. The values we settled on are integrity, resolve, preparedness, and expertise. I match these word values with my proprietary color system to help craft the atmosphere that will instantly resonate with his clients. Remember, it's not about how these colors make me feel or my client feel, but more importantly, how they make his customers feel. This ultimately speaks to their lifestyle. And chances are my client has a very strong opinion on color. Fortunately for me, this client's preferences perfectly align with my proprietary color system. So the 3 Guys construction audience is made up of mostly women in their 30s who are professionals with young kids. Based on this research, the color palette defined by his values and target market look like this. Nice, huh? Okay, we're not done yet. The first 2 colors I always add are black and white. Actually, they're called values because they can add dimension to the 4 flat colors we've curated. Now, at this point, you might be asking, why should I stick with just a few colors? How can they help me persuade and influence my customers? Hold on, cowboy. More color doesn't always mean better colors. The purpose of color is to direct the eye, showing your customer where they should go next. Hopefully not to burst into an uncontrollable rage. As I mentioned earlier, black and white adds dimension. You can see how I've created gradients based on these values. Nice, huh? But this isn't enough. We need to harmonize these colors. The key is to structure the color palette that provides context and is harmonious to your customer's expectations. So what does this mean? All right, so what would his target market expect from his business if he's a contractor who pours cement? While his services aren't the most sexy, they yield a foundation on which his customers can play. Remember when I spoke about lifestyle? Lifestyle dictates how your customer will respond to color. The palette of 4 colors plus the 2 values aren't enough to provide context, but creating a color ratio will do that. All right, so what's a color ratio? Well, hold on a sec. Let me get another sip of wine. A color ratio is curated on the basis of what his target market expects. It blends the palette into a ratio that leads your customer's eye on your website. So, for instance, here's what a color ratio would look like. So, based on the color palette that I created for my client, we've got primary colors, secondary colors, and accent colors. And this follows on the rule of the 60-30-10. These are principles that help design the balance of color and composition that don't encourage rage screaming into the closet. So, for instance, I'll be using primary colors 60% of the time. I'll be using the secondary colors 30% of the time, and then the accent colors only 10% of the time. Now, each option provides a different atmosphere. Each option might include one of his values: integrity, resolve, preparedness, and expertise. So, let's go through a couple of color sequence options. So, for instance, there are the primary colors shown here, and each primary color will become a background example as we begin our layout, because that's how I approach it when I'm designing websites. Now, here I've added some text. Note that you'll want to swap out the text color to create as a great contrast as, oh, I think I need more wine. You'll want to swap out the text color to create as a greater contrast as you can for legibility. Did I even say that correctly? The more contrast, the more better. Let's just put it that way. So as you can see, the top two quadrants, the white and the creamy yellow, both have dark text on them. Whereas the dark two quadrants, the charcoal black and the blue, have lighter text on them. You want to create as much contrast as possible because you want to make sure that you are reaching all customers. About 25% of our population has low contrast eyesight, so meaning that they have eyesight issues, and so you don't want to eliminate the possibility of them as customers. That's 25% of the population you could be neglecting when it comes to serving in your business and out to your customers. So keep that in mind. Okay. Now, I'm adding an element like a call to action button. Notice how the dark red vibrates against the blue at the bottom, the blue and the charcoal black. This can turn people hostile, and that's not what we want. These create an angry reaction. These vibrating colors are in disharmony. So like the potato couple in Toy Story, you don't want to pack your angry eyes when you're reviewing websites, right? And you certainly don't want your customers packing angry eyes. I wish I had that GIF here because it's hilarious. So, what to do? Well, first, what I'd like to introduce you to is the American artist Stanton McDonald Wright. Because color vibration is an intriguing state. Stanton McDonald Wright is a modern American artist who is a co-founder of synchromism, an early abstract color-based mode of painting. He was the first American to embark on the avant-garde art movement. Now, I'll keep this slide up for a moment and allow your eyes to adjust so that you too can see the vibration of colors. The Stanton McDonald Wright was the first art exhibit Andrew and I visited together when we were dating. It was the same time that I joked to him that we experienced our first mutual paradigm shift as we simultaneously witnessed the color vibration standing in the gallery. Next to the sneeze, it's the only climax one can experience in public without getting arrested. This next set of tiles is much better on the eyes. No unnecessary color vibrating. Can you see what I've done there? What I like to do is add white as a background for my call to action buttons. This also keeps things in harmony, and it also keeps your website fresh. So as you can see here, this is the final style tile that I created for my client. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. Hey, just wanted to pop out at the from the slideshow and ask how you're doing tonight. Andrew, yeah, I too love Stanton McDonald Wright. I loved that you were able to score the long poster from the gallery. I was super jealous that you hung it in your office at SAS when you worked there. I wanted that. Is there an unusual delay? Wendy, hey! Welcome, Wendy. I have been thinking about you. Welcome tonight. So, Wendy, what's in your glass? Tonight, I am drinking Wild Haven. It's a Merlot from the Columbian Valley here in Washington State. Let me know what's in your glass. So, when you said that you liked it a lot, was it the style tile that you liked? You know what I'm going to do? I am going to do a countdown. Usually at the beginning of these shows, what I like to do is a time delay to see if it is typical. And typical for us means 20 seconds. So I'm going to see if it is about the same. So ready, go. 1, 1000, 2, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007, 1008, 1009, 1010, 1000. 11, 1000, 12, 1000, 13, 1000, 14, 1000, 15, 1000, 16, 1000, 17, 1000, 18, 1000, 19, 1000, 20, 1000, 21, 1000, 22, 1000, 23, 1000, 24, 1000, 25, 1000, 26, 1000, 27, 1000, 28, 1000, 29, 1000, 30, 1000, 31, 1000, 32, 1000, 33, 1000, 34, 1000, 35, 1000, 36, 1000, 37, 1000, 38, 1000, 39, 1000, 40, 1000, 41, 1000, 42, 1000, 43, 43 seconds. Wow. Yikes. Okay. When I scheduled this particular live, I made sure not to add a delay. So, all right, 43 seconds. That's going to be tough, but maybe with my little slideshow, it won't be that apparent. So, I'm hoping that's true. Thank you, Wendy. Nothing in your glass? Earlier, I had just plain old lemon water. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Thanks, Sandy. How are you doing this evening? What's in your glass? Let me know. Is it a Sangiovese? Is it a Manhattan? Inquiring minds. You guys can hear me okay with this microphone? Okay. So, if you're new here, welcome. If you are watching on the replay, type replay in the comments below. Let me know. And let me know what the biggest takeaway is for you. And if you haven't already subscribed and whack that bell like a kitten for notifications, please do so, because I go live every Friday at 5, and I plan to also go live a couple of times throughout the week as well. So you never want to miss any of that, because you can also post questions, and if I get a chance, I'll answer them. Chances are I will answer them for you. But yeah, make sure that you join me here weekly and maybe more often. So let's continue. Oh, good. Thank you, Wendy. I'm glad. Sandy, Chardonnay tonight. All right. Fantastic. And also, if you know anyone else who could benefit from watching this video on color mood boards and design guidelines and any other design, as well as product development, websites, anything to build your small business, please share this with them. I would be utterly grateful. And if you could go ahead and like the video, because what that will do is that will send signals out to the YouTube universe and let anybody else know that if they are STEAM entrepreneurs, they should come watch this video as well. Okay. Well, let's continue with fonts. Woohoo! Fonts range from traditional serif and sans serif decoration and handwriting. First, let me illustrate the difference between font and typeface. Think of font as a family name, and think of typeface as the face of the person that belongs within the family. For instance, meet the Caslans. The Caslans have 3 typeface children: regular, italic, and bold. Regular is your typical child. Italic is the drama queen of the family, always needing to emphasize everything. And bold is the rebel in the family, plucky with a devil-may-care attitude. The Caslans certainly have their hands full with these 3 typefaces, don't they? Okay, so when should these typefaces be used? Traditional fonts are made up of serif fonts. Serifs include small lines and flourishes that extend from the stem of the letter, like Times, Garamond, and Bodoni. You'll find these in long-established conventional industries like health, financial institutions, and insurance. Contemporary fonts are made up of sans serif. That means without the extra stem decoration. So these could be Arial, Helvetica, and Open Sans. Handwriting is a very casual and intimate font. Depending on your audience and their expectations, fonts can make or break your influence with them. When choosing fonts, my recommendation is to use sans serif fonts for your website with serif and handwriting as ornamental elements. So, this example shows the serif and handwriting as headers, keeping the sans serif as body text. It is so much easier on the eyes. Okay. What do you guys think of fonts? Later on, I will talk about how to pair fonts, kind of like wine pairing. Fonts that go well together and fonts that don't go so well together. People love to abuse fonts. Sometimes they'll use this crazy handwriting in all caps, and the eyes can't even read it. So it's just, it can get crazy, it can get nuts, and it can certainly detract your audience, and they will just jump off your website onto somebody else's website, which could be your competitor. So that's not necessarily a good thing. Yes, Andrew, I think we used to live near the Caslans. Cheers to the Caslans and their 3 typeface children: regular, italic, and the bold, plucky rebel. So, which typeface can you resonate with? Would it be the regular typical child? Could it be the italic Little Miss Drama Queen who's going to emphasize everything? Or are you the bold? Are you the bold child who is the plucky devil-may-care attitude, like this chick right here? Let me know in the chat. That's a good question, Andrew. What goes well with Comic Sans? Let's see. Maybe popcorn? Popcorn and Kool-Aid, right? Is that the kind of audience you want? I know Comic Sans was great for the Peanuts comic strip that Charles Schulz created. I think maybe that's where Comic Sans originated, but just because it's in your Sunday newspaper doesn't mean you should use it, right? Okay. So just as a reminder, I'm Lisa Stewart, founder of Build Your Own Small Business and Build Your Own Money Message. Welcome tonight, Friday live at 5. And tonight we are talking about how to choose colors, fonts, photography, and graphics for your design guidelines to create a consistent visual brand atmosphere. Okay, now we have talked about colors and we've talked about fonts. And now the next one I'm going to be talking about is logos. You ready? Hang on tight. Okay. Normally what I recommend to my clients, especially when they're new and they're bootstrapping, I would say straight out of the gate, don't worry about your logo. It's not necessary. While I design logos for my clients, it's not the first thing I'd recommend for somebody bootstrapping. So if this sounds like you, hang tight. I know that we're bombarded today with digital ads from web builder platforms touting, we can build you a logo in less than 5 minutes. But in the words of Michael Jordan, don't. Stop it. Get some help. Remember, the logo is for your customers, not you. So if you haven't done your due diligence with building out your brand framework, messaging, values, selecting a logo on a whim can do you more harm than good. Oops, come on. Okay, so here are a selection of logo marks. The first row are symbols. The advantages is that they're unique, simple, and a quick impact. But the disadvantage is costly to promote because it takes a long time to embed itself in your customers' minds. Now, the second row are pictographs. The advantage to these is that they can substitute for words. But the disadvantage is that they can become confused with corporate marks and can cause cultural confusion. We are now a global society, so not only do you have to be mindful of where you're located, so for instance, I'm located here in the United States, in North America, and what is typical to my culture here in the States may not be typical to folks in Brazil or Portugal or Japan or the South Pacific. The third row are letter marks. The advantage is that they are readable. The disadvantage is that they're also too costly to promote. What I do recommend is creating your name with a typeface or a blend of fonts and typefaces. As you can see, I've used a combination of bold and light typefaces to build my business name as a letter mark. Honestly, it's easier to change this out than it is to swap a logo. Your customers can still recognize your business name, but will become absolutely flummoxed and confused if you introduce a completely new logo. So you can see here, I have a combination of a logo and then a typeface. The logo is actually inspired by color, RGB, and each circle represents those hues, so red, green, and blue. Now, the center portion where you see the little dot is the sweet spot of those three colors. And what I do is I create systems and business processes in threes that helps to create the sweet spot for all of your branding activities. So that's what my logo stands for. Now, in many cases, you guys might see the fat cat that accompanies either my title sheets or throughout my workbooks or my website or my courses. And he is there to serve as a guide, a nice little humorous guide. And I love dressing him up in different clothing elements to help really reinforce the storyline that I want to get across in the lesson that I'm teaching. So for instance, I've got Fat Cat as a magician, Or I've got Fat Cat as Godiva, who's buck naked riding on a horse across the screen. I also have him as a little construction worker, a little foreman. I've got him as a jester, and all kinds of different variations on a theme. And he's just too much fun to build and create and showcase. So let me just reiterate. Don't waste your time on a logo up front. Another thing about logos is that when you do craft a logo and 10 years down the line you start getting bored of it, here's a key takeaway. Let me turn this off so you can see me. Oh. Okay, let me emphasize about working with logos. When you get bored with a logo, let's say it's 10 years down the line, don't change it, because this is the exact time your customers are starting to recognize you. That's what you want. It's brand recognition. That's why you developed your logo in the first place, is for brand recognition. If you change it, you can do so much harm to your brand, and I don't want that for you. So make sure that after you've done your due diligence with your brand messaging and your brand framework, and you've identified your values and your pillars and all of that wonderful, delicious stuff that goes into building your brand framework, make sure then and only then that you start creating your logo. And please, for the love of commerce, do not hold a contest for people to design your logo. That is the worst thing in the world that you could do to your business, because the designers out there on those cheap dollar sites have no idea what your business is about. All you can say is, oh, I'm a spa, develop me a logo. That's nothing. That logo will not resonate with your customers whatsoever. So please keep that in mind. So if you have to, just use a font face, put your name in a lovely font that your customers can recognize, that is based off your brand, your branding, and all the research and due diligence that you've done, just to start. Later on, you can add a logo, but honestly, it is not necessary at this time. Your time should be spent on crafting exceptional customer experiences with your branding efforts, okay? All right, I'll get down from my soapbox now. Cheers. Speaking of fonts, Wendy loves Black Adder as a font because it's spooky. I agree. No, don't worry about that your comment is late. It's not you. It's YouTube. It's the interwebs. So not you at all. But yeah. So Black Adder, what I would recommend is using that as titles or, one word wayfinders, and then use a sans serif underneath that if you have more text to add. That's what I would recommend, because I too like Black Adder. And there are lots of other fonts that would complement that as well. So, you've got the old German Gothics and serifs that were all featured as handwritten calligraphy. And did you know that back when they used to chisel the names and letters into buildings and plaques and things like that, were initially drawn by calligraphers. So then, after the calligrapher went and drew on the stone and the cement and concrete, then the person with the chisel would come along and chisel that out. So I thought that was fascinating. One day I'd like to see a recreation of that. But until then, I'm just going to use my imagination. But thought you'd like to know. Cheers. How are you guys doing? Sandy, how are you doing? Andrew, how are you doing? This wine is going fast. This wine is going fast. So I'm delighted with this wine. Another sip before I continue. Okay. We have talked about colors. We have talked about fonts. We have talked about your logo. And next, yay, Sandy. Are you on your second glass of Chardonnay? Because I'm getting really close. Next, we're going to talk about photography. So, here we go. This is where you can push the emotion over the top. To keep your atmosphere consistent, try to find or craft imagery that takes advantage of the certain time of day and really emphasize that time of day. Is it morning? Is it afternoon? Is it evening under the stars? So, for instance, here I've got a collection of photos of inside a restaurant and or bar. And these are pretty contemporary photos that I found off of Unsplash. And when I'm finished with this video, what I will do is I will list the artist photographer's name inside the description box so you can go check them out. But I love this for so many reasons. I love this because you can capture the coffee drinking crowd because the filter that helps to generate the atmosphere has that sienna type flavor to it. It's got almost a coffee roaster kind of atmosphere to it, doesn't it? And what I also love is the depth of field. So in the left photograph where you've got the Edison bulb hanging down in the foreground, and then you've got a bar. It almost looks like it might be a buffet. I can't quite tell. The background is blurred, so it really helps to create depth of field and ambience. Sorry, that's a little throwback from Singing in the Rain. But the atmosphere just it's so cozy. The dark color tones makes me just want to slip right in, step up at the bar, and maybe order an Irish coffee. How about you? How does it make you feel? Because this is one thing that we need to talk through when we are creating and crafting our brand atmosphere, because it's about how it makes your customer feel. Is this how you want your customer to feel when they experience your brand, especially through photography? What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. Yeah, ambience. Here's another assorted flavor of photography. So this one obviously is probably taken from aerial drone, and it really helps the perspective from an aerial bird's eye view that I like to call. And if you are a travel agent, if you are maybe a yoga enthusiast who will hold classes on the beach, if you are, oh geez, there are a myriad of different businesses that could take advantage of photography like this. It's beautiful, it's serene, you've got that green serene in there, a little emerald, right? And then you've got the juxtaposition of this beautiful sandy color with the white highlights. So you could definitely pull out these colors and create your own style tile with these. And they also create lovely texture as well, don't they? There's so much texture to be had in this. You've got the ripples of the water, and then of course you've got the sea spray that's coming up into the beach and flowing. And then you also have the sand. It can be as granular as you want or as smooth as you want, depending. So you can have a ton of fun with something as simple as this particular photography to build on your own style tile. What if you have people as part of your photography and your brand atmosphere? And chances are you may have people, photographs taken of people that aren't necessarily the same time of day. So, what are some options that you could take advantage of? Well, for instance, we're starting with the upper left hand photo with a couple in the original format, just full on color. But if you want to create consistency across your brand and across your website and so forth, with photos that are taken at different times of day with different coloring and so forth, you could desaturate them and turn them into a grayscale as shown on the bottom photo. So that's just a lovely grayscale, and this would help to create harmony and consistency throughout your website and all of your other collateral. Now, if you don't want to go that route, what you could do is you could move up to the upper right-hand corner. That photograph shows where I've added a color filter on top of it. All I did was just add another layer, which is a rectangle with a bit of yellow in it, and then I reduced the yellow, not the saturation, but the opacity to create more of a transparent, translucent color. So you could have a ton of fun. So if your brand lifestyle maybe harkens back to the Polaroid, the 70s atmosphere, you could certainly do that. Or if you wanted to recreate the coffee atmosphere, as I showed you earlier with the wonderful sienna, you could certainly do that. You can definitely influence your photos with filters, with HDR, which is high definition resolution. You can desaturate them, turning them into black and whites. You can do an array of things. All I ask is that you apply the same method to all of your photos. That way you'll be able to create that consistency, and you can be confident knowing that no matter what piece of collateral that you create, it will be the same throughout. So no matter if your client touches a postcard, it'll have the same photography as it does on your website. So when they get to your website, there isn't any rage screaming, right? They go, oh yeah, it looks exactly like it is in the postcard. It's an extension. This is great. I feel comfortable, because what you're doing also is setting customer expectations. What do you guys think? Yeah, I agree, Andrew. These images make me wish we could go out and eat and not have to worry about COVID. Yeah, I know. We're all right there with you. Yeah, because as an introvert, I will turn this off. As an introvert, I miss people. And Zoom sometimes just isn't enough. And oh, I'm going to jump back on my soapbox here for a second and talk about Zoom. Two things about Zoom. I know, okay, three things. There's Zoom fatigue. That's a real thing. And I'm trying to remember. Let me see if I can look for quickly here in my notes. There's a term that, and I know when I get off Zoom, I won't, or when I get off this video, I'll remember it. But the definition of the term is that your brain goes on high alert if your background isn't faded and your eyes and your brain are trying to adjust where you are in the scene. So in this scene, my background, for whatever reason, I should probably, I know I'm sitting on my foot right now. Oh, and I'm also using my Mac lens. If I were using my DSLR, it would show a nice depth of field and it would blur out the wine tote behind me and the brand toolkit ad back here, as well as these items back here. These would all be blurred. But because the lens on the iMac is doing a fabulous job of keeping everything in focus, your brain is probably starting to get fatigued. So I do apologize for that. I'm trying to hook up my DSLR so that way we no longer have to worry about that. Moving on. the brain fatigue is real. And when your brain goes on high alert because everything's in focus, you can't tell where I am in this scene. You can't tell how far back I am from the wall. So what happens is your cortisol starts to spike. And when your cortisol starts to spike, you start get fidgety and you start doing other things, and then you might be looking back at me. So I hope you're not pulling triple duty as I'm here hanging out with you today, but I don't blame you if you are. So that's a real thing. Two, if you can refrain from using the Zoom backgrounds, because what I discovered yesterday when I was on a Zoom call, I was on a training call with Toastmasters, and the trainer had on a Zoom background. And what happened was the background would kind of hang out here by her head. And that really caused fatigue. And I couldn't figure out why that was so jarring for me. And then I realized what it was. I'm like, oh yeah, it's that element, that term that I can't remember right now to help you guys look it up. But it still can't think of it. The Zoom backgrounds are putting my brain in super high alert, and I started to get fidgety, and I'm like, why? I'm well rested. I don't understand why listening to this trainer has got me on edge. And then I realized that's what it was. So if you can refrain from using the Zoom backgrounds, I would be utterly grateful, and so would your customers. So there we are. So let's 86 those Zoom backgrounds and craft a nice background to showcase who you are and what you do, because your customers want to see that. They want to see the real you. Also, I find that the Zoom backgrounds are a bit deceptive and a bit deceiving. It's almost like when you are having a self-portrait made and you hide your hands. And if you're going to use that in a business photo, and chances are a business photo is probably just, from the shoulders up, and that's fine. But if you've got a full body photo and you're hiding your hands, there's a psychological response that happens. And what that tells the brain is you can't be trusted. So if you're going to have a full body photo taken, have your hands on your desk, or maybe something up in your arm, or you can have cross arms. That's okay. That's okay. But just be mindful about how you appear to your customers, and watch as you're talking to people how they respond. Because if they start to step back and start to shift and get agitated, think about your body stance and think about what it is you're doing with your own body. So, okay, I'm going to take another sip. I'm starting to get parched. I think I need some more water too. Okay. Now I'm going to bring up my client's style tile again here and share with you just a little bit on graphics. I'm not going to touch too much on graphics right now, but going back to his ideal audience, they're mostly married women in their 30s who are professional with young kids. We know that they're pretty tech savvy because their phone is on their person at all times, right? I know that my phone is always on me and I'm not in my 30s, but be that as it may, they are extremely versatile and flexible when it comes to hopping from one platform to another. Maybe they're hopping from Google to Facebook to Instagram, and they have been trained to look for certain icons that mean certain things. And so what I did was, for my clients' graphics, they serve as little monikers and mnemonics for his services. So, for instance, as you can see in the lower left-hand corner, there are 3 green squares that I've rotated 90 degrees. So they almost look like diamonds. They also look like pavers. And so inside the first square on the left represents sheds and house attachments. The second one refers to sidewalks, and the third one, I bet you can guess, refers to stair steps. So when using these throughout his website, his customers start to understand the iconography that I have assembled for him, so that whenever they're looking for a special project for their home, they can say, oh yeah, this is where the attachments are. You know, if I want to create a new attachment for my house, if I want to create a detached shed or garage, this is where I need to go. This is what I need to look for. So your brain picks up on that pretty quickly. And the sidewalk is fun because it adds perspective and dimension in that. So when you see that as sidewalk, you go, oh yeah, I want to walk into that sidewalk and walk down that sidewalk. So that invites you in as a human being. And then of course the steps, I know that I just want to jump to the left and walk up those steps to see where they lead. What about you? What do you think? Well, when it comes to graphics, there are hundreds of different graphic styles available. So like I say, the graphics that I created for this website were based on icons found in web apps. And I created these special for this particular customer. So what do you guys think? How confident do you feel to create your own style tile now and your own design guidelines? Let me know in the chat. Meanwhile, I'm going to take another sip. And what I will also do is I will provide a link down in the description for you to go ahead and grab your own free style tile guide that I will have available to you for free in Canva. So do make sure that you are on my newsletter and email list so that you can make sure that you get notified when I do launch that. Oh, thank you, Andrew. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was a fun site to do. I always enjoy working on websites for my clients because it allows me to get a deeper insight into their industry and their market, because I'm always curious about how other industries and markets work and how they work with customers and what their processes are, because chances are I can probably learn something and then pull that process into my own business and maybe share it out with customers who need to understand what that process looks like. So yeah, I very much enjoy working on a variety of different websites. Oh, thank you, Wendy. Yeah, you know, being trained in visual design and iconography and logos and fonts, yeah, it is just too much fun to create icons. So I'm glad they make sense. Thank you. Okay, well, if you are just joining us, my name is Lisa Stewart, founder of Build Your Own Small Business and Build Your Own Money Message. And I invite you to make sure that you are subscribed to my channel, like this video, so that way anybody else who is a STEAM entrepreneur can also get notified when this video gets pushed out via the YouTubes. Because the more people that are able to watch this video and learn something by it, the more value I feel like I can provide. So I want to make sure that I'm providing as much value as possible for anybody out there. So yeah, feel free to subscribe and whack that little bell like a kitten to get your notifications so you don't miss anything. Okay, well, I'm about to wrap up and just wanted to say thank you again for hanging out with me tonight. I am utterly grateful that you took your time out with me to hang out and learn about how to build your own style tile and design guidelines for your business. So I hope this was helpful, and I am going to give a grade on this wine before we leave. So I'm rather enjoying this wine, I must say, and I can't wait to pour myself a second glass. But yeah, overall it's smooth. It's got just a little bit of dryness on the end, so it would go really well with, I think, a Gruyere cheese. A pizza would go really nicely with this. And we're having leftovers. What did we have last night? We had basil chicken and red sauce with pasta. So yeah, that'll go very nicely with this. It will indeed. So yeah, I would recommend this. Like I say, it was a $13 bottle of wine. I think you can find it at your local Total Wine, Wild Haven, Merlot, Washington State. So it's local, so it's very delicious. And yeah, I would give this 2 corks up. 2 corks up. So again, thank you everybody for hanging out with me today. It's been a pleasure, and I hope to see you again next week. Cheers, and keep building.